Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back. It is Tuesday, November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. All right, we're going to get started. I'm sorry I'm getting a little bit of a late start. Okay, I'm getting quite a bit of a late start, but better late than never, right? So let's get right into it. I do have some people to thank, but I'm going to leave that until the end of the show because I know that my diehard listeners always listen to the last little bit. So anyway, I'm going to thank those donors then because I certainly appreciate those of you that donate and those of you that support this channel via comments and what have you. It all helps. So, and I don't know, you guys make me smile reading the comments. I just feel like I know so many of you that are regular posters or commenters. So anyway, let's get moving here. And I want to hit the first item. Now, remember in yesterday's video, I told you that something was about to hit at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, I had a very hard time getting to sleep last night. In fact, I couldn't. So I ended up studying through the night, different things. And I was I had set my alarm, so that I would be up and bright and bushy-tailed by the time this news arrived. And I was up. I wasn't bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I was up. And so I was a little bit disappointed, to tell you the truth. I don't think it quite lived up to its hype, but yet it's extremely important. Now, I'm pretty sure probably most of you have already heard the news, but in case you haven't, let's go to that now. This is from Project Veritas, and this is from an insider from ABC News, and well, it kind of speaks for itself. But I don't know, I was expecting more just by the whole tone of it and how Alex Jones talked about it and how James O'Keefe talked about it, and I was a little bit disappointed, and yet I shouldn't be really because it is pretty alarming. And let's go there now. Okay, so this is James O'Keefe, and he says Virginia Roberts. And of course, Virginia Roberts is one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia Roberts told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. It was unbelievable what we had. We had Bill Clinton. We had everything. Now, this is ABC News anchor, okay? And she is talking not on camera. This is like, she's not aware that she's talking a private conversation, and this was never meant to be aired, of course. And her name is Amy Robach, and let's listen to what she has to say.
She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. She told me everything. She had pictures.
So that's it. That's the entire revelation that's come out. However, when you think about it, ABC knew 3 years ago everything about Jeffrey Epstein, all the connections, who it was connected to. They said they had Bill Clinton, they had everything. Pictures, whatever. They had it all. And the executives at ABC squashed it and said, no, you're not going forward with that. They didn't want it pursued. Now, that's alarming. And you think to yourself, go back 3 years And where were we as a country? We were right in the middle of the presidential election, 2016, right? So they knew that Hillary was running, yet they sat on this information. Do you think that they would have done that if it was Donald Trump? Because I'm telling you right now, they wouldn't have. They would have gone out of their way to squeeze every little drop they had of information out if they thought it was going to make Donald Trump look bad. But they sat on it. Now, here's the other thing that's alarming. They knew that there were children being harmed. They said, oh, he's the most prolific pedophile that's ever lived. So for 3 years, they allowed that abuse to continue, knowing all of this, knowing that there were children in harm's way, and they did nothing. Now, the thing about, you look at this news anchor, Amy Robach, and I'm thinking she seems a little bit ticked, not because they didn't go with it, but that she missed having the being credited with breaking this. That's what she seems ticked about. Now, I don't know how that chick lived with herself, because if that was me and that was my job and the executive says, no, just squash that story. No, just pretend like it never happened. We don't want to go anywhere with that. I would have gone straight to the FBI. I would have. But I'm a different sort. That's why I get myself in trouble, because I have this sense of wanting to seek justice and wanting to do the right thing. But it bothers me because you can't just blame the executives, although certainly I do. And I think we all should. And I don't want to have anything to do with ABC. Not that I do now, but now more than ever I don't, because excuse me, not only did the executives do the wrong thing, but she did the wrong thing. She should have gone to someone. Now, possibly back then it wouldn't have done any good anyway, because the FBI was dirty. It needed to be cleaned out. So I don't know. But personally, I would have kept shopping the story around until I found somebody that would run with it. And I know that would have meant her job, but who wants to work for people like that anyway? Not me. Honestly, I would rather, you know what I call that? I call that pimping your gifts. And when you are talented, believe me, there'll be a lineup a mile long of people that want to pimp your gift. Do you know what I'm saying? They want to use your gift so they can make money from it. And to me, that's what she's doing. She's pimping her gift because these people are just, they're not interested in the truth or real journalism or anything else. They are more interested in politics. And yet ABC, weren't they the ones that ran with the story about, they tried to pass it off as Syria when it was actually a Kentucky gun range? I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, them. So it is important, and I hope that it reopens the conversation about Epstein. However, does it expose the Epstein cover-up? Well, it exposes the cover-up that they knew 3 years ago and sat on it. Does it uncover the cover-up of his death? No. And that's what I felt was alluded to in all this build-up, before it, that this was going to be revealed, the cover-up of his death. This is a cover-up of a different sort. And it does most certainly expose ABC. But I was very disappointed this morning, to tell you the truth. I really was, because I was really expecting. And I guess I trust those in the movement, the Great Awakening. And I know Project Veritas does exceptionally good work. But I guess I expect that those in this movement are not going to overhype something. Maybe it needed to be overhyped to get more people to pay attention. I don't know. But that is my 2 cents on it. And let's go back. We're going to be revisiting this a little bit more, but I do have some other things, to get to. All right. Epstein, this is this is from 2 months ago, so this may be too old for us. And I think it is, because now we pretty much know that he didn't die in his prison cell. We know that it was homicide, not suicide. We know that. That's at least we know that. But still doesn't answer why the body that they took a picture of as the man that was taken to the hospital and taken out of Jeffrey Epstein's cell, when you look closely at the ears, they are completely different. And ears don't change, not that dramatically. And he also, the body had a hook nose, and Jeffrey Epstein most certainly did not. So you can't convince me, you'll never convince me that that was the same Jeffrey Epstein. That body was not Jeffrey Epstein. Now, maybe I don't know. I can't answer exactly what happened or who that was. It was certainly a Epstein lookalike, but the ears were completely different, and the body had a hook nose. Epstein did not. Those things don't change. So, all right, let's go on. Now, this from Cat Turd, and I love me some Cat Turd now. And he says, Schumer, no one knows who the whistleblower is. If you do, you should let me know. Cat Turd says, okay, it's Eric Caramella. Everybody knows now. And the Democrats are playing like, oh, nobody knows who it is. Oh, do. It's absolutely asinine. And they really believe we're all that stupid. And maybe some of us are. I don't think any of us are, but I think some of the people that get their whole news from the mainstream media are, because, and I really am not dogging those people, because I know what it's like. I worked in a corporate job. I've usually held 2 and 3 jobs at a time. I've always been very driven. So I know what it's like. You come home, you're dog tired, you've got to get supper ready, you may have your laundry to do, you may have groceries to go out and get, then you've got to, do everything at your house that has to be done, and then you have to drag yourself to work the next day, and there's all sorts of pressure from work, and most people don't have the time to sit and sift through all the news. They want it in little encapsulations. They want the news quick so they can get it and go, because they're busy. So I'm not dogging these people. I'm really not. It's not always just, whatever. It's just that life now has gotten so busy. We're all wrapped in so much red tape to get anything done. It takes forever. So anyway, let me go ahead here. Okay, now, I'm sure you've heard this as well today, or at least bits and pieces of it, about the Mexican cartel that killed the family. It's absolutely horrendous, but there's more to the story, as there generally is. Women killed in Mexican cartel murders had alleged ties to sex cult NXIVM. Well, isn't that interesting? Says the 9 women and children slaughtered in Mexico on Monday were part of a Mormon community with ties to the alleged sex cult NXIVM. And it says death toll climbs in Mexican cartel shootout as more U.S. citizens ID'd. This is unbelievable, and I agree with Trump. Something has to be done with the Mexican drug cartels, because it's not safe for Mexicans or Americans there. or anyone else. The outpost Mormon community in Mexico is where underlings of NXIVM leader Keith Raniere recruited young women to work as nannies in an upstate New York compound run by the accused cult, suggesting, at least in part, that the jobs would get the girls away from their home region's drug violence, according to a man hired by Raniere to produce a documentary about the group. The 3 moms and 6 kids killed in Monday's violence in the northern town of Sonora are believed to have been the victims of a drug cartel, which may have mistaken the group's caravan of 3 SUVs for rivals, Mexican authorities said Tuesday. The filmmaker working with Raniere at the time, Mark Vicente, told the online magazine Slate that the documentary ultimately became a recruiting video for NXIVM, which purported to be a self-help group, but morphed into what the feds called a cult that sexually, physically, and emotionally abused its mainly female followers. The film included an interview with Julian LeBaron, who identified himself as the cousin of one of the moms killed Monday and who is leader of the Mexico Mormon community. LeBaron's brother was kidnapped by a local drug cartel in 2009, and the family defiantly refused to pay a ransom. The cartel eventually released the abducted man. Now, I'm going to, I don't know how long this video is, but, oh, it's not long.
Trying hard to get a better signal on your cell phone? Let
Okay,
signalbooster.com help you get
obviously,
a strong wireless
this is
signal
the
to
ad
right
before the
person kit.
video.
Enjoy clear cell phone talking and fast mobile internet on your smartphone all the time. Call 1-855-846-2654 or visit signalbooster.com.
Ads everywhere.
This is for the record. Nita and 4 of my grandchildren are burnt and shot up. Right on the road out of La Mora.
That's horrible. Okay, let's look at this. I guess that is it for that, I think. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So, sorry. Had to be sure. So let's go back. It's absolutely horrendous, but it's interesting that they have ties to the NXIVM cult. Very interesting. Don't know what has happened there, but I'm sure over the next few days we will probably find out more and more details. But there's no excuse for something like that. Why? Even if you had some argument with the adults, why on earth would you kill the children? That is just, I mean, the animals are better than that. Really. I can't believe that. My mother was telling me, and I just want to tell you this because it touched my heart so much, that in Ethiopia, and I guess this was in some article that she read, and she had clipped it out and saved it for me because she knew that I would find it quite interesting, and I did. But I believe it was in Ethiopia, and there was a gang of men that had kidnapped, she was either 11 or 12 years old, and they had taken her into the woods, and they had beaten her, and I would imagine that they were about to gang rape her because it was not a robbery. So that is what their intentions were. But a group of lions, and they were the male lions with the big black manes. I think there were 3 of them. I don't know if there were any females with them or not, but there was at least 3 big male lions. And they came and they chased the men away. And it makes me want to cry because I think this is just beautiful. Now, not only did they chase the men away and scared them away, but they stood in a circle. So there probably was more than 3. There were 3 male lions there. They stood in a circle around her and guarded her. And then when the police arrived and found her, the lions just kind of silently went back into the woods and disappeared. So it's somehow they knew that the police were there to help her, and they stood guard over her. Didn't touch her, did no harm to her whatsoever. So when I say, people like this, the drug cartels that do things like this, they're worse than animals. They are worse than animals. Those 3 lions could have had a meal, but they didn't. They guarded her until help arrived, and that really, really touched me. Animals are absolutely incredible. Okay, now this from Donald J. Trump. This is the time for Mexico, with the help of the United States, to wage war on the drug cartels and wipe them off the face of the earth. We merely await a call from your great new president. Now, if they can do what they did to ISIS, they can win this war on the drug cartels. And I believe it, because if anybody can, our military can. And that is what they need to do, and not have any mercy on them, because they are responsible for killing so many innocent people and, abducting people, kidnapping them for huge ransoms that most people can't pay. So yeah, I think, and you know what? That is terrorism, as far as I'm concerned. It's terrorism. Imagine if you lived in the vicinity of the drug cartels. Yeah, I think you would experience terror. So yeah. All right. And again, this is from the DC Patriot. And there is the burned out SUV that we saw earlier. And apparently there was more than one of them, if my understanding is correct. This is a chilling and horrific story coming out of northern Mexico near the U.S. southern border on Tuesday. 9 U.S. citizens, 3 women, and 6 children were ambushed and murdered by gunmen between Sonora and Chihuahua. I think that's in Mexico on Monday. They were a breakaway group from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in a convoy of SUVs. When attacked, gunmen may have confused the SUVs carrying the American citizens with a rival group, said Mexico's security minister. This prompted President Trump to call for a war on Mexican drug cartels. He also tweeted today that this is the time for Mexico, with the help of the United States, to wage war on the drug cartels and wipe them off the face of the earth. And why do you think Trump is interested in that? Why do you think Trump is interested in wiping them off the face of the earth? Because they're coming across the border. That's why. And I know I had a friend that lived in Allen, Texas, which is right on the border. And there was kidnappings happening all the time of U.S. citizens. If they thought you had some money, they would kidnap you, and they would demand a high ransom from your family. And your family may or may not ever see you again. So yeah, it's affecting U.S. citizens. This is the time for Mexico, with the help of the United States, to wage war on the drug cartels and wipe them off the face of the earth. We merely await a call from your great new president. And I am really, really hoping that the United States and Mexico can, tackle this together, because it needs to be tackled. Anyway, it would make Mexico safer, and it would make along the border much safer. So let's go back now, and this is interesting too, and it says, this is by Martin Geddes. I feel we just crossed the event horizon of the collapse of the Mockingbird media with the Epstein cover-up. There's no return from knowingly hiding rape and murder of children. D5 time for fake news. How much more? We demand to know the extent of your criminal complicity in evil. Yeah, well said. Well said. And we're going to touch on this as well, kind of out of the subject a little bit, but not really, still in line with Q-related news. There are no more Q posts. So, and as soon as there are, I will report on that in a timely manner. Now, report. Former CIA analyst says Brennan created secret task force to destroy Trump. Well, isn't that nice of him? Such a great guy. Yeah, I'd love to have him over for tea and crumpets. No, I wouldn't. Most Americans have been wondering if and when we would see some of the Obama officials involved in the coup against President Donald Trump brought to justice, while Attorney General William Barr is getting to the bottom of how the Russia witch hunt began. A new bombshell report about former CIA Director John Brennan is sending shockwaves. According to a column from Larry C. Johnson, who is a former analyst at the CIA, Brennan created a secret task force to combat the election of Trump. Can you imagine that? Yeah, former analyst at the CIA, Brennan, and who was part of the CIA at that time. No, wait. Okay, Larry C. Johnson is a former analyst at the CIA. Brennan was in the CIA at that time. And he wanted to create a secret task force to combat the election of Trump, to combat the election of a duly elected president. He wanted to combat the will of the American people. So get that. Johnson says the invitation-only task force was created in early 2016. Johnson says the average American has no idea how badly Brennan wanted to stop Trump because he desperately wanted to get Hillary Clinton into the White House. Well, didn't everyone? Didn't all of those dirty people want Hillary Clinton in the White House? It would have been a free fall, a windfall for them because they could have kept up with their crimes and gotten away with it all, and who would have said anything? No one. Brennan was so desperate, according to Johnson, that it led him to creating the secret task force with the mission of spying on and carrying out covert actions against the campaign of then-candidate Trump. He goes on to say this task force was not just a simple gathering of anti-Trump intel officials, but rather highly trained spies who sought to destroy Trump. None of this should surprise us because we've known this, but it's one thing to think it in your head and kind of know it. It's another thing to see it in black and white and know that for an absolute certainty that what you thought is real. Johnson writes, I am told by a knowledgeable source that Brennan created a Trump task force in early 2016. It was an invitation-only task force. Specific case officers, i.e. men and women who recruit and handle spies overseas, and analysts and admin personnel were recruited. Not everyone invited accepted the offer, but many did. This was not a CIA-only operation. Personnel from the FBI were also assigned to the task force. We have some clues that Christopher Steele's FBI handler, Michael Gatta, may have been detailed to the Trump task force. Interesting. So what kind of things would this task force do? The case officers would work with foreign intelligence services such as MI6, the Italians, the Ukrainians, the Australians, on identifying intelligence collection priorities. Task force members could task NSA to do targeted collection. They also would have the ability to engage in covert action, such as targeting George Papadopoulos. Yes, that's right, I said Papadopoulos. Joseph Misfud may have been able to shed light on the CIA officers who met with him, briefed on operational objectives regarding Papadopoulos. That's right, you heard what I said, Papadopoulos, and helped arrange monitored meetings. I think it is highly likely that the honeypot that met with George Papadopoulos, again, I say Papadopoulos, a woman named Azra Turk, was part of the CIA Trump task force. The task force also could carry out other covert actions, such as information operations, a nice sounding euphemism for propaganda, and computer network operations. Their has been some informed speculation that Guccifer 2 was the creation of this task force. Johnson goes on to discuss the recent unmasking of Schiff's secret whistleblower, Eric Carmella, and how he could have played a vital role in this task force. Johnson argues that while Brennan allegedly did what Brennan allegedly did was illegal, the CIA has carried out other illegal acts in the name of supposedly protecting American interests. These explosive allegations serve as another reminder of what Obama-era officials were willing to do in order to take down Trump and stop him from becoming president. Interesting. Not surprising at all. We knew he was dirty, but did we know he was that dirty? I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure that everything was recording, because every once in a while I'll record a video and find that it really wasn't recorded. And that makes me sad and angry. Not really angry, but a little bit angry. Okay, now let's go back, because we can. And we looked at this, so let's come down here to Wyatt. Things that ABC reported on that met their standards, because of course now they have come out with this statement that, well, it didn't meet our standards. What the heck does that mean? Like, really, a journalist should have been like, absolutely, a network that falls on that kind of information should have been like, this is a gift from the heavens. Let's run with this. Really. But no, they wanted to cover it up. They were perfectly fine with young children being trafficked and murdered and raped. They were fine with that. So anyway, things that ABC reported on that met their standards. Fake Syrian war footage from Kentucky. So yes, they were that. They were that network. Russian collusion hoax, 2+ years. The Kavanaugh hoax. The Nick Sandmann hoax. And of course, he was the young student that they made it seem like he was being disrespectful to the Native American veteran. And of course, he was not, because they creatively edited it. Things that ABC didn't report on because it didn't meet standards. Clinton and Epstein's Satanic Island. Yeah, that's about right. Well, it's not just about right, it is right. Jack Posobiec, y'all realize when she said ABC killed the story 3 years ago, that meant during the election, right? Yeah, we figured that out. And I think probably most of you figured that out. So that makes it much, much worse. Much worse. Because that gives them a motive for killing it. Guess they all liked Hillary, didn't they? Why? I don't know. Smelly pants, smelly pants. What are they feeding you? I'm just saying. Just saying. Somebody made a note. They said, you should know better than, because you've got a master's in English, you should know better than to say, just saying. Well, you know what? Just because I have a master's in English, I graduated with a 4.0 too. But, like, I lived in the South for a great portion of my life. And so I picked up little euphemisms and things. And so just because the way you speak is much different than the way you'd write formally. Just saying. Okay, so anyway, yeah. I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be me. And those that are okay with that will stay and listen. And those that aren't will leave. And that's okay. Because it's easier for you that aren't okay with it to leave rather than me to change. So there you go. I'm okay with me. Let's look at this now. No, really, let's. Okay, and it says this is another reason you should ignore just about everything the mainstream media reports. You know, it's illegal to call out a whistleblower, Senator Rand Paul. Actually, you see, you've got that wrong. So let's listen to this.
Laws, though, they protect a whistleblower. You know it's illegal to out a whistleblower.
Actually, you see, you got that wrong, too.
No,
I mean,
we don't.
you should work on the facts. Here's the thing is, the whistleblower statute protects the whistleblower from having his name revealed by the Inspector General. Even the New York Times admits that no one else is under any legal obligation. The other point, and you need to be very careful if you really are interested in the news, is that the whistleblower actually is a material witness completely separate from being a whistleblower because he worked for Joe Biden. He worked for Joe Biden at the same time Hunter Biden was receiving $50,000 a month. So the investigation into the corruption of Hunter Biden involves this whistleblower because he was there at the time. Did he bring up the conflict of interest? Was there discussion of this? What was his involvement with the relationship between Joe Biden and the prosecutors? There's a lot of questions that the whistleblower needs to answer.
The whistleblower laws, though.
You gotta love it, really. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that he, answered that question quite well. All right, let's go back and let's look at this. And this is from James O'Keefe. One of the most incredible things about this Epstein Insider ABC cover-up story is that it's causing other insiders to come forward. You can't buy the publicity. All this coverage showing the URL on national news is getting other insiders to contact us. ProjectVeritas.com/brave. And that is good because, I have no issue with Project Veritas. I think that they do wonderful work. I think that they're in it for the right reason. And, I say, more power to them. My only thing was saying that I felt it was a little hyped for what it was, but it's still excellent work. They have outed things that never would have been revealed and outed if not for them, like the whole Planned Parenthood thing and the body parts and so forth, selling of body parts. So, yeah. Now, I think you'll find this interesting as well. This, I believe, happened today. And what happened, Laura, she's got guts, okay? She's got guts, no question about it. She jumped over Nancy Pelosi's fence. So Loomer jumps over Pelosi's home fence, gets arrested. Her message, you can't jump over Pelosi's fence, but she's okay if illegals jump over Mexico border fence. No trespassing on her property, but they can trespass in the U.S. That's exactly it. So let's listen.
Guys, Gavin Newsom is arresting me. Every single day, innocent Americans and innocent police officers are being killed by illegal aliens who are being brought into this country and supported by people like Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and Gavin Newsom, who is now the governor of California. And it's really interesting, you guys, isn't it? How, as an American, you're not allowed to hop over Gavin Newsom's fence or Nancy Pelosi's fence. You get handcuffed and arrested. But if you're an illegal alien or you're a rapist or you kill innocent police officers or you murder and rape women here and you're here illegal in California, right? You get all the free benefits, you get free welfare, free housing, free everything, and you don't get deported, right?
She's right.
Don't hop over a 3-foot fence. But if you're from another country, you can climb over our wall, you can walk across our border, you can dang near do whatever the hell you want, and you get away with it, and you don't wind up in jail. Absolutely disgusting.
And, something I noticed about this is the police officer that arrested her, he really let her talk. He didn't say, okay, be quiet or whatever. He didn't. He let her talk. So, he had to do his job. He had to arrest her. He did. But to me, he could have been much worse to her. He could have been, rough. He could have shut her up, but he let her talk. And so there may be more people that support the awakening in California than we're aware of. and it would not surprise me. There are good people in California. Just because there's, I know we look at the Gavin Newsoms and the Beto O'Rourke and all these people and we think, oh my gosh, they are just crazy there. And yeah, some of them are, but some of them are good conservative people who want the best for their families, and they're caught in a bad situation there. And I know people say, well, they should just move. That is the most asinine thing ever to say, because you know what? I've been in that situation. When I was in Louisiana, I wanted to move. I felt like I was in danger there and I wanted to move. And, it's not easy, especially if you own a home, and which I didn't, but if you own a home somewhere and you have a job somewhere, you can't just pick up, sell your home, move, find a new job. There are reasons that people are where they are, and it's not always easy to just pick up and move. There's money involved, there's jobs involved, everything, career, what have you. So, all right, let's go back. Now, you're gonna like this. I'm telling you, you are gonna like this. Now, if you don't, I don't know. I'll have to start wondering about you, which side you're on. All right, Comey flipped. Confirmed by DOD insider. Gitmo or prison awaits. Well. So this has been confirmed by a DOD insider. Comey has now flipped. I had heard that rumor, but it had not been confirmed, so I didn't want to put that out there. But apparently it's true. He has flipped. Comey did flip. Why all the distraction from Dirty DC? Because Comey flipped and is singing like a bird. Comey loves his corrupt friends so much that as director of the FBI, he was never in it to protect us fellow Americans or our own country. He was in it to enrich those close to him. Comey would never flip on one of his buddies, but something must have happened to have him turn on his own buddies. Comey knows their dirty secrets. He knows the extent that they will go through to push their evil, vile, satanic, corrupt, treacherous agenda, and he stood by their side all these years. We fought so hard to get our voices heard, and he did not care at all. According to our DOD insider, Comey is working with the DOJ and will take responsibility for his actions. Comey has said it went all the way to the top. We know what he means by that statement. Obviously, it went all the way to Obama. Imagine the truth bombs Comey is sharing with the DOJ. He is spilling his guts right now. To further confirm the reliability of our source, this person has shared that something very big was going to happen. To be prepared, and days after this person shared this information, ISIS leader Baghdadi was killed, and we learned the caliphate was taken down. This source further shared to be prepared, and we are beginning to see the havoc occur in some parts of our country, such as California. The amount of information that James Comey has available runs so deep that it is unimaginable. However, he is now willing to come clean and face his fate. It certainly seems that Gitmo or prison will have a new guest soon. What will be the outcome from this huge news that is completely confirmed by a DOD source? Additionally, with Operation ID and all that raided information from Syria, Italy, and the Vatican will be so damning for the swamp rats that they are now getting cornered. U.S. patriots need to stand strong together. Our source has been reliable since day one. We ask you share this information with everyone, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So now, my listeners aren't everyone, but, if each one of you tell a friend, well, that's quite a few people. And then each of them tell a friend, and so on and so on. That's from a very old commercial. What was it? Commercial was it for some kind of shampoo? All right. I don't think that we should have shampoo. No, really, honestly, I'm totally against shampoo. I think that we should have real poo. Down with shampoo. All right. That's all I had to say about that. All right, let's go back. Okay, now I do want to get to that, but I don't know. Okay, we've already covered this Brennan task force, so I think we've heard enough about that. And this is actually, I'll leave this link here because some of you might want it, and I do upload these to Patreon. Well, let me just click on this real fast and let you know. Brazil police arrest man said to be one of the world's most prolific human traffickers, and that is phenomenal news. São Paulo, Brazilian federal police said they have arrested a person whose name I can't pronounce, who was born in Bangladesh and considered by authorities one of the world's most prolific human traffickers. In an operation conducted on Thursday after collaboration with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Brazilian police arrested members of a group allegedly implicated in a large scheme of smuggling people into the United States. Several arrests were made in Sao Paulo, where Al Mammon was living, and in 3 other Brazilian cities. The police also froze 42 bank accounts, it says, were used by the group to finance their activities. So I'm not going to go into that further, but this is... it says Brazilian police said the group charged people coming from Asia around 50,000 reais, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, or $12,524 for the attempt to reach the United States. Some would also stay illegally in Brazil, where they were given fraudulent documentation. Police said people suffered violence while waiting in Sao Paulo to start the trip north. Said a group of 8 Bengali people fell into the hands of a Mexican drug cartel while traveling toward the Mexico-U.S. border. So, yeah. This is good news. This government, this administration is doing more to end human smuggling, human trafficking, and all that. Pedophilia. They've done more. This administration has done more than any other administration before it. And we owe a debt of gratitude. But, of course, he'll never be given the credit, which is extremely sad. Okay, let's go back. Now, I am going to click on this because I do want to just show you the madness of Ontario, where I happen to find myself living right now. This is Toronto. City Committee asked to approve $108 million in hotel contracts for refugees. Yeah, you know when they bring all these refugees over to Canada and they are bringing them over, I mean, at an alarming rate. Like I told you before, this area, I grew up here before moving to the States, and always rural and predominantly white. Now, Toronto, there was always more of a mix. There was more African Americans and Chinese. And of course, even in Kingston, which is a larger town to the east of me, there was always a very, very large Asian population, but not in this area. But now, in some places here, whites are the minority now. And it's not that I mind people immigrating here. Absolutely not. If they are being properly vetted and if their intention in coming here is to work towards making Canada a better place and towards assimilating, learning the language and what have you. But that, of course, is not always the case. And these immigrants are given all sorts of benefits that our elderly and our veterans are not given. So yeah, people are upset. Absolutely they are. And $108 million to house refugee claimants. Yeah, they house them in hotels, nice hotels. The hotels are absolutely trashed afterwards, which is very sad. Those contracts on the agenda of the Economic and Community Development Committee will provide 800 hotel rooms in Toronto, Brampton, Newmarket, and Pickering from July 1st if needed, according to Shelter Support and Housing spokesman Greg, whatever his last name is. That doesn't include the $24 million already spent to house and feed those in the Radisson Hotel East, $13 million, the Radisson, which is a very nice hotel in Toronto, the Toronto Plaza Hotel, $9 million, and the Comfort Hotel, Airport North, another. Comfort Hotel doesn't sound like it's high class, but these are very nice hotels, very nice. No 7-Eleven or no, what do they call them? Motel 8s. No Motel 8s for these people. Only the best will do. Yeah, so anyway, and the very sad thing is they spent all this money to put up basically a place that would, like a camp sort of, but a nice one, like a very, very nice one. All the kitchens and everything were brand new and just everything was new, but then they never even used it. They've never used it. No, they'd rather keep them in hotels. Nice hotels, pricey hotels. So that the people that are visiting Toronto have nowhere to stay. I mean, yes, there's other hotels, but come on. Anyway, all right, I've, you can tell how I feel about that. And, okay, now I'm going to hit on this too. It's getting late, but I wanted to get this up before midnight. Millions will die in Cascadia, big one, says Steve Quayle. Now, I've listened to Steve Quayle for quite some time. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think that he's generally a good guy. So I don't have any beefs with him, or chickens or cows or eels. But let's listen to what he says. Filmmaker, book author, and renowned radio host Steve Quayle warns the west coast of America is sleepwalking into a coming geologic catastrophe. Quayle explains, while the San Andreas is the most studied fault in the world, it's like peanuts compared to what's going to be happening in the Cascadia. Cascadia, located in the Pacific Northwest, excuse me, is the most dangerous, with a 1 in 3 chance of going off in our time. I'm not talking about, I'm losing my voice again, about hundreds of years or thousands of years. I'm talking about the backroom hush of USGS, United States Geological Service. Scientists, and many of them are silent. I'm actually getting information from scientists that left the United States because there is a gag order on the true seismic nature of what's going on in the United States. Our film, Cascadia, the big one, will be previewed on usawatchdog.com. This is really a critical situation. The question is their magna movement beneath the surface. Yes, that's what I am told by people who have access to the data. Everything is moving except the truth, and it's all a matter of economics. The situation with Cascadia is dire. This is not careless journalism or some scary statement on my part. We have undertaken the most elaborate film project on this subject that has ever been done because it is critical. What's the worst case scenario if the Cascadia subduction zone lets loose and volcanoes, earthquakes, and tsunamis are unleashed? Quayle says the amount of damage, and I am going to choose my words carefully, is going to be precedent setting. It is going to be a combination of volcanoes going off that are inland from the subduction zone where the plates meet, coupled with tsunamis. When this happens, you will lose 8 million to 20 million people. When it happens, you will lose all productivity in the electronic field, obviously Silicon Valley, and all food production in all of California, Oregon, and Washington. When it happens, you will have a state of emergency unlike any other. How about the refugees? There will be 3.5 million refugees to take care of. When that happens, what happens to the underground aquifers? And where does everybody go for fresh water? There will be years of drought, years of famine, and years of water where where did it all go? It is a very dire situation painted by computer models. This is not a sensational thing. It is a reality based on scientific study with the application of what happens. Quayle warns that the public would likely have roughly 15 minutes to get to safety, and the tsunami waves would be 500 to 1,500 feet tall. Quayle is putting his trailer film out now, even though the film project is not going to be done until the early part of 2020. He is doing this as a public warning. Join Greg Hunter as he goes one-on-one with renowned radio host, author, and filmmaker Steve Quayle. And you can go to usawatchdog.com, which is the website that I'm on, and find out more about this. I don't find that Steve Quayle he is definitely not a fear porn pusher. He's not. I've never known him to be, but I don't know everything about him. I do know that I had a friend of mine who, when she was younger and she had a child to feed and no way to feed them. She was a single mother, not by choice. So anyway, Steve Quayle, he often will say on his website that he helps people in need. Well, she contacted him and he didn't know her. And he actually wrote a check to her landlord and paid her rent for her. So to me, that goes a long way in my mind, because I know my friend wouldn't lie about that. Why would she? She'd have no reason to. So, all right. Okay. Well, let's go back. And I think I'm gonna save this Benghazi one for the next show, because I'm just running out of time here. And I do want to have time to thank these people, these wonderful people. Coffee donors, Nancy Chang, thank you very much. Julia Campbell, thank you very much. And Rach and Chula the Boxer. Now, I'm pretty sure Chula the Boxer is a dog. If not, then she's living with a boxer. Like a, boxer. And she says she wants to hear more about the fires in California, and I want to bring more about the fires in California, and I am going to be doing that in the next few days, because there's so much. There's so much. Okay, and also from Susan from Missouri as well. Those are all coffee donors within the last 2 days, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it is what makes this available, along with my Patreon supporters. And we've got 3 new Patreon supporters. Woohoo! David, Amanda W, and Jamie. So there. And I did get something in snail mail today. And now, they sent it straight from Amazon. So it came to me. And the thing is, I remember somebody saying that they were going to get the book for me, and now I can't remember. I think I know who it is, but I don't want to say in case I'm wrong. So please put in the comments. It is this book, and I'm going to go back over here. It's this book, and it's by Mike Moore Payne, How We Dismantled the FBI in Our Pajamas. Now, I am going to get all up in this book, because it is supposed to be something else. So I am, oh my gosh, I'm an avid reader. So I'm like thrilled with books. All right, so I just can't wait to get at it. I got it today, and I was running some errands, and I thought, oh, I can't wait to get home. I got to read this. So anyway, that is it for tonight. You guys stay safe, stay blessed. I had hoped to do 2 shows tonight, but I just couldn't, because this day has been one of those days. But there's always tomorrow, and I will be back tomorrow. I guess that's a warning. So you guys stay safe, stay blessed, stay well, and you keep seeking truth. You know why? You know why. You all know why.